All right, everybody. So there's a lot going on this week in preparation for Tesla's annual shareholder meeting. We had 5 hours of Elon Musk going on Joe Rogan and the All In podcast over the weekend, which to me sends a very clear signal, which is that his comp package has passed. Why else would you spend 5 hours talking to your buddies when you could have been persuading potential voters that would have maybe voted no on your comp package? Now, if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about here, there is a big shareholder vote this Thursday for Tesla investors for a comp package for Elon Musk that will be worth $1 trillion to Elon Musk if he reaches all the different thresholds and goals that are set forth in that plan. It would require Tesla stock to go up to $8.5 trillion of valuation, which means that investors would make roughly 6 times their money. After watching those podcasts, it's pretty clear to me that this is a man that's in a very good mood. I highly recommend you guys go and watch them. But the things that really stood out to me from the last few days here is multiple fold. We had some guidance from Elon Musk on what the Robotaxi rollout is going to look like for the rest of the year, which gives us clues for next year and what it's likely going to look like. We had FSD V14 finally going out to Cybertruck owners. Right on schedule-ish, Ashok, the leader of Tesla AI, said that Cybertruck would get it by the end of the month. This was October, but then they started releasing the software to Cybertruck owners, actually. So they weren't that far off, and that's actually a fascinating trend that's happening here with Tesla, which is they seem to be hitting their thresholds for their self-driving technology goals as of late. And so one of the nuggets that was shared on the All In podcast from Elon Musk points directly to this. So go ahead and take a listen to this little tidbit here from All In.
We think probably we'll have 1,000 cars or more in the Bay Area by the end of this year. Probably 500 or more in the greater Austin area.
Now, if Tesla keeps going on their trend of hitting these targets and actually delivering when they said they were going to deliver, this implies a lot of things. Number one, this means that if Tesla wants to get to 1,000 cars in the Bay Area by the end of the year and 500 in Austin, they're going to have to yank the safety riders and the safety drivers. I don't think it's realistic for Tesla to keep going down this path of adding cars to the network and also adding drivers or riders or safety monitors, whatever you want to call them. This is an unsustainable model long term, and it defeats the purpose of having a robotaxi network in the first place, which is to have a network of self-driving cars where you don't have to pay a driver, which means that the cost of travel in those areas dramatically plummets. For example, in Austin, right now, robotaxi fares are around $1 to $1.30 per mile. If you compare that to competing Uber as an example, Uber charges somewhere close to $2.60 per mile. So it's roughly half the price of Uber, and you get the same experience, if not better, because you're going to get a consistent car. And once those safety riders are pulled, you're going to get a private experience in the vehicle as well. And so the clue that we got there, from my perspective, is that the safety rider removal is right around the corner. And I had like a 20% guess, like a 20% likelihood that the safety riders will be removed in Austin this Thursday, which is when the shareholder meeting is taking place. It's taking place here in Austin. That would send a really big message to investors that says, hey, welcome to Austin. Here's Robotaxi. We don't have safety riders anymore. Welcome. What a perfect place to have that actually happen. And I really think that's going to happen very, very soon. If you look at how V14 has been performing, the latest software update from Tesla for their full self-driving stack, they just released that to the Cybertruck. There's not nearly as many Cybertrucks on the road as Model Ys or Model 3s. But the reviews we're getting from the early testers, specifically people like Chuck Cook, his own words is that Cybertruck has the best version of FSD right now. And this is the car that's the smallest one of Tesla's fleet right now. So that really speaks to how good the software stack is for Tesla and how good their safety is getting, to the point where this hulking metal triangle is able to drive itself as smoothly as it does with not nearly as many cars in the fleet versus the Model 3 and Model Y, which speaks to how flexible that software stack is. You can basically pull that software stack and put it in a different form factor, and it performs admirably. This bodes really well for Tesla's Cybercab that's coming out here in the next 6 to 9 months. Cybercab is going to be a much smaller vehicle. Tesla has said the Cybercab will not have a steering wheel and pedal. Elon reiterated this for the 10th time on the All In podcast.
Cybercab is gorgeous. I told you I'd buy 2 of those if you put a steering wheel in them. And there is a big movement online.
Putting a steering wheel in.
People are begging for it. Why not? Why not let us buy a couple? Just the first ones off the line and drive them. I mean, they look great. It's like the perfect model. You always had a vision for a Model 2, right? Like, isn't it like the perfect Model 2 in addition to being a Cybercab?
Look, the reality is people may think they want to drive their car, but the reality is that they don't.
And of course, if you've been following this channel, you've heard a lot of people saying, see, I told you, you were wrong. And so this really speaks to the brilliance of Elon's ability to misdirect the public. This doesn't change the fact that I am basically 99.9% convinced that the same Cybercab line that they're going to use to build Cybercab without steering wheel and pedals is going to be used to release an exact or very similar form factor with the steering wheel and pedal because of regulations. What he said there doesn't change that math. But regardless, the FSD portion of this discussion, what it really says is that Tesla is able to plug and play the software stack on any form factor that they please. I fully expect Tesla to also come out with a Cybervan here in the next few months and quarters where they're going to maximize the throughput of the Cybertruck line. We got a little teaser a few weeks ago about the Cybervan existing. It makes perfect sense. It would be silly for Tesla to not leverage their existing Cybertruck line to also come out with a van or large SUV form factor with a true 3-row setup so you can have at least, let's say, 8 people in the car comfortably. That's something that would do extremely well here in the United States, especially with an unsupervised self-driving stack that Tesla is clearly working towards with FSD V14. On top of the maximization of the Cybercab line by releasing a much smaller form factor with steering wheel and pedals, you don't have to call it the Cybercab. You can call it the Model 2 or the Model Q or whatever you want to call it. But again, it's a plug and play unsupervised self-driving. You plug it into that small vehicle. And then as you sort of fast forward this thought process over time, Tesla's positioning itself really well to now have a product or a service that they can license to other manufacturers if they're willing to take on the responsibility of implementing that software in their vehicles. This would mean companies like Honda, Toyota, GM, Ford, whatever, instead of being stuck in this weird place where they don't really make that great of electric vehicles and they're really bad at software, they can just license Tesla software, which is very obviously the best one on the market by far. No one's even remotely close to make a competing product. We are entering an age where purchasing a vehicle that won't be able to drive itself doesn't make any sense, especially when the cost of making a self-driving vehicle has plummeted to $30,000 or less. If we use the Model 3 as an example, the vehicle starts at $37,000 out the door for people to buy, but it likely costs to build somewhere around $30,000 or less. With the Cybercab like or Model 2, whatever you want to call that vehicle, which again, I'm fully expecting will still come out in the coming quarters, maybe late 26, early 27, this potentially will be a sub $30,000 car that Tesla's going to be able to sell with steering wheel and pedals, but also it's going to be able to drive itself without anyone having to pay attention. This is a killer separation from a value perspective for customers. And I fully expect this to be part of the rhetoric that's being discussed here on Thursday at the investor meeting. I'll be covering this very closely on my channel. If you're interested in joining us for that live stream, feel free to subscribe to this channel. The instance for the live stream should already be on my channel. You can go in and get notified once we go live. I'm planning on going live at 2 p.m. Central, which is about 1 hour before the meeting starts. In that meeting, we're going to get the vote on Elon's comp package, the results from it. I fully expect this to have passed pretty overwhelmingly, but then we'll also get a lot of insights into what Tesla's planning for the future. They're going to do a bot demo from the sounds of it. I'm sure they'll have Cybercabs for people to get in and get driven around the factory. Hopefully, we'll have Robotaxis without supervisors in that vehicle. If this kind of stuff really interests you, if the Musk universe is something that you're really fascinated in, how AI is shaping our future, I have an exclusive community at Farzad.fm that you can join, where we have weekly live streams with myself and my community every single week. And then on that same website, I also have a free digest and a free newsletter that anybody could go and read in case you want to get yourself caught up on how I'm viewing the world. And if you want exclusive content, ad-free content, and a bunch of other stuff as well, feel free to sign up at Farzad.fm. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was informative and helpful. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.